On today's show, who will be the LA Clippers' biggest offseason acquisition this year? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Offseason Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and going into my 20th season as a Clipper fan this fall. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel for even more sports content. Right now, the soccer videos I've been doing, we're going crazy on my channel. Just hit 11,000 subscribers, so appreciate you all, whether you're an old subscriber or new for that. And of course, Locked On Clippers is almost at 6,000 subs. We need to get us there. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell for all things Clippers, your only 5-day-a-week Clipper podcast. And this episode, we're going to be talking about who the biggest offseason acquisition was for us and who I think will be the best addition this season. And before we do that, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook and bet on all different kinds of sports, including the Clippers making the playoffs and whatnot. I know the odds for that in terms of like the top 6 seeds aren't too great for us, so smash that bet and you might come up with some big money because I think a lot of people are sleeping on us this season. But of course, if you want to follow the entire journey for our first season at the Intuit Dome, the newest arena in basketball, you already know where to follow us right here on Locked On Clippers. And you can also listen wherever you get your podcasts. So I'm going to begin with, to me, the 3 biggest additions are Derrick Jones Jr., Nico Batum, and Chris Dunn. Apologies to Mo Bamba. Apologies to Kai Jones, who, by the way, hasn't. I keep seeing people comment about Kai Jones. Guys, he hasn't even guaranteed a spot on the roster. He's on a training camp deal right now. So I can't really come out here and puff my chest out and say, yeah, Kai Jones is going to make a huge impact. And then there's the Kevin Porter Jr. thing. I know a lot of people are getting mad at me for, talking about his past and all that. But again, the majority of Clipper fans that attend games that I've talked to, they have expressed a little bit of concern about KPJ and his image and whatnot. Now, my thing is this. Regardless of all that, Kevin Porter Jr. is not guaranteed, in my opinion, he's not guaranteed more minutes than Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn, as I've mentioned several times in these podcasts, was a rotation player last year on the Jazz. Kevin Porter Jr. wasn't in the league last year. But we're going to start off with who I think is going to be the biggest addition to this team, and that's Derrick Jones Jr. Derrick Jones Jr., I've done an episode on him a couple months ago, but I was really happy when I saw that we got him. Of course, you can't replace Paul George. That's just not, easy to do. 23, 5-4, doesn't grow on trees. You know what I'm saying? But Derrick Jones Jr. was one of 10 players last season to be a starter on a finals team. P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, Derrick Jones, Kyrie, Luka. That was the Mavericks starting lineup that went all the way to the finals. Yes, they came up short. Yes, Derrick Jones Jr. did not have a great finals because his shot was kind of broke. But he had the best season of his career, averaging a career-high 9 points a game. He also averaged 3 rebounds a game, which we'd like to see that number increase because he and Kawhi are basically splitting minutes at the 4. I mean, that whole 4 and 3 thing is really overblown. I mean, today's NBA is positionless basketball. To me, it's guard, forward, big. So it just really depends on who they're guarding. Are they going to be guarding the guy that's the bigger forward in their lineup or not? Derrick Jones Jr. also averaged a steal and a block a game if you round up. He shot 48% from the field and 34% from 3. And in the playoffs, about the same, but actually a little bit better. 9 points a game, 48% from the field, and 37% from 3 in those 22 games. And what I'm most looking forward to about Derrick Jones Jr. is that he was the guy for the Dallas Mavericks that guarded the best player on every team. He guarded Paul George, did an exceptional job. He guarded SGA, tried his best. That's the best I can say. He did a pretty good job, but like he tried his best. SGA was still dropping buckets. But the thing is, if you watch a lot of SGA's shots in that series, they're all like contested mid-ranges with a dude draped in his face. Like the guy's just got one of the best mid-ranges in the league. And then conference finals, Anthony Edwards, he did a very good job on him. So Derrick Jones, he held his own. In the finals, it was meh. I think it was more about the Dallas Maverick offense at that point than anything. But to get another guy that can go out there and guard, that's going to be huge for us. Because I kept saying last year over and over again, Terrence Mann, as solid of a defender as he is, if he's the one guarding your best player every game, your defensive ceiling is not very high. Because as solid of a defender as he is, I don't think he's the best screen navigator. And that's all pick and roll defense is these days. Is like, in terms of the on-ball side, is screen navigation. Getting over screens, staying in the picture, being on a guy's hip, being in his rear view, making things tough for him. And a lot of times Terrence is just kind of behind the play after a screen. Derrick Jones Jr. has, he's listed as at only 6'5", but the guy has such long arms, you think he's 6'7", 6'8". So to have another guy that you can throw in there that's athletic, that's on the younger side, he is 27 years old. So and will be 28 in about, I want to say 3 months. Now, let me double check his birthday. His birthday is in February. So in the season, he will turn 28. And that's like the prime. He's a prime age for this role player, Derrick Jones Jr. He also is going to add much needed athleticism to our aging, old, and slow team. And we're losing Russ. We're losing Paul George, who's a lengthy wing that can go up there still when he's got a chance. And Derrick Jones Jr., I can't wait to see some of those lobs with James Harden. But what I loved about DJJ, besides his on-ball defense, was how quickly he covers ground in rotation. The way he would close out and contest. I mean, he would be at the free throw line contesting on a three-point shooter, and within one step, between his length and his bounce, he would still get a block. I mean, the way we're going to be able to scramble this season with Kawhi, Terrence, and potentially Derrick Jones and Nico Batum in lineups is going to be hell for offenses on the other side. So there were moments where he would come from the weak side corner and rotate to the basket in a millisecond. And I can't wait to see that on our side. So Derrick Jones Jr. for me is the number one addition we got this offseason. I know that's like, other fan bases might see this and be like, this fool's getting hyped over Derrick Jones. Sometimes it's those little pieces that make the difference. So Derrick Jones Jr., that to me is our main addition. But coming up, going to be talking about my favorite addition, a familiar face. I got to tell you a little something about GameTime. GameTime is the best place to get great deals on last-minute tickets for any event. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. And GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I still haven't gone to a Dodger game this year. My friend and I talk about how we've been such bots with that. I mean, what Shohei Ohtani is doing is ridiculous right now. He's going to be the first player in the history of the game to get 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. So I need to get in the building, and you know what I'm going to use to do so? GameTime. When I get back home from London, which, yeah, as you can still see, I'm there right now if you're watching on the YouTube side. So GameTime. Not only can you get great deals, you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly where you're sitting. If you haven't been to a stadium, that really helps. And you get the lowest price guarantee, or GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry, known as the GameTime ticket coverage. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. So that's 2 N's. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time. Ooh. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers your first listen of the day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On NBA podcast. There is no offseason in the NBA, and Locked On NBA provides daily basketball analysis from national and local experts in 30 minutes or less. No one keeps you as informed and entertained as Locked On NBA. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, guess who's back? Back again. Nico's back. Tell all your friends in the Batum Battalion because this year it's going up at the Intuit Dome, baby. That's the edition I'm most excited about. Nico Batum, a fan favorite, back wearing the right red, white, and blue, not the trash red, white, and blue that Paul George went to this offseason. He is back with the Clips. And you know, it says a lot about Nico that he wanted to retire here. He got shipped out in the Harden trade, and he came right back. I mean, this guy loves this organization. He loves you, the fans. There ain't no Batum Battalion in Philly. There's just cheesesteaks and Paul George over there. The Batum Battalion is right there at the Intuit Dome, getting ready to enter the wall. And Nico Batum, he might be turning 36 in December, but the guy moves like he's 31. The fact that we have Nico back, I mean, besides the sentimental stuff, is going to be awesome because if you watch the Olympics, this guy, and the playoffs, by the way, this guy still has some stuff left. We signed into a 2-year deal. I think these will be his last 2 years. But by all means, please have those last 2 years with us in Los Angeles because he is just the typical role player that you want. Like, to me, Nico Batum, he's always had championship role player potential. He just hasn't been surrounded by a championship team. He was in 2021, and then Kawhi got hurt. But I don't know if we're going to, look, I've already expressed that I don't think our roster is a championship roster. I think we're going to be better than people think. I haven't had anyone, though, express to me, unless they're a stan of Kawhi or Harden, and they just, to me, stans are completely delusional. I'm not even going to say no offense. I don't care if I offend you, honestly, at this point. I do this for the Clipper fans. Like, I know stans listen to me, but, like, I do this for Clipper fans. So that's my squad. You know what I'm saying? You guys, Clipper Nation. No Clipper fans I've talked to think we're going to win the championship. You know what I'm saying? It's just about, like, let's enter the Intuit Dome, have a good time. Let's, maybe overachieve a little bit, make some noise. Hopefully have Kawhi healthy in the playoffs. And I think Nico Batum can help us get to that point because his defense is still elite. Let's talk about his stats last year. 5.5 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal and a block a game if you round up. He shot 46% from the field. And how about this? 40% from 3. And let me just read some of his 3-point percentages the last couple of years. 40% last year, 39% in 2023, 40% in 2022, 40% in 2021, and then the year before that, we don't talk about what he did in Charlotte. He's been 39% or higher every year since he came to the Clippers. That's huge. That's huge. You can never get enough 3-and-D wings in today's game. You just can't. That's what you need. And speaking of, the way Derrick Jones Jr. guarded guys in the playoffs, Nico Batum in the Olympics took every big assignment. SGA on Canada, Dennis Schroeder on Germany, and he held his own and did a very good job. And even in the playoffs, he did a better job on Jalen Brunson than Kelly Oubre. I mean, this guy's length, the way he plays angles, the way he has his hands active in the passing lanes, blocking the pocket pass when he's getting over screens, guarding the point of attack, super fundamental. I mean, defensively, adding Nico and Derrick Jones, I think it's going to make us so much better, and it's going to make Terrence's life so much easier because now he doesn't have all that pressure to guard the best player all the time. We have 3 point-of-attack defenders, actually 4, another one I'm going to talk about in the next segment, plus Kawhi Leonard, who I haven't even mentioned defensively, and he's still very good as well. So, as I've said in many episodes, the Clippers have the potential to be a top 5 defense this year. But we need to be top 10. At bare minimum, we need to be top 10. And Nico Batum might help us there. My only concern with Nico is he's missed a lot of games the last 2 seasons. He played... Actually, no, he didn't. It was 2 of the last 3 seasons he's missed games. So in 2022, he missed 23 games. And I think that was like arguably his best season as a Clipper. The one that we didn't have Paul George for 51 games and Kawhi for the whole season. He averaged 8 points that year, which was his His highest scoring season since the 2018 season was Charlotte, and then even make the playoffs. Like, doing it on a bad team, like, that doesn't move me. Jeez. It's crazy looking back at the 2018 season I just referenced. Nico Batum shot 41.5%. Like, geez, no wonder Charlotte fans got so mad at him. That's totally different. But he probably wasn't getting the same amount of, like, quality looks as he's getting with Kawhi and Paul George and now James Harden. And I think James Harden's going to love playing with Nico. I really do. Who doesn't love, like, catch and shoot guys probably love playing with James Harden. And then who doesn't love playing with Nico? He moves the ball so quick, it just doesn't stick with him because he's not the type of guy that can create his own shot. So he just moves the ball quick. If he doesn't have a shot, just move it. And those are the kind of players I love. You know, I always tell my players, my kids that I coach, you don't got a quick shot, move it or make a play. Like, you know, this dilly-dallying on the ball, it's just so prevalent in today's game. You know, there's so much that you're allowed to do with the ball handling side of things compared to 20 years ago, 30 years ago, in terms of, like, carrying and what's allowed. So people's bags are deeper than ever before. Nico Batum has never been a bag kind of player. He's more of a, you know, feed off other guys kind of player, a prototypical role player, and he's as good as it gets in that regard. So when it comes to defense and the basketball IQ, that's one thing that Nico adds everywhere is the basketball IQ. I talk about defense. I talk about moving the ball fast, but he's also one of the best spontaneous cutters that we have. You know, he sees an open spot, 45 cut, boom, hits it. You know what I'm saying? We need cutters. James Harden will see you. If you're cutting, if you're moving, there's nothing that point guards love more than guys who are cutting and moving. It's because those great passers like a James Harden, they can fit that ball into the smallest of windows. And Nico Batum will be the recipient of plenty of those. I could not be more ecstatic to have him back. I will be getting his jersey. I have a Nico Batum shirt from my man Jake Burns, who makes Clipper merch, but I'm going to be getting a jersey because I've been waiting all this time to get Clipper jerseys, man. I hated our old logo, and now that we have a decent logo, but more than the logo, it's the jerseys themselves, bringing back the red, bringing back the cursive that everyone's so excited about. I can't wait to get a blue Nico jersey. White is going to go to Zubats, but blue will be Nico. I think I'm choosing blue because France, I guess. But cannot wait, man. Absolutely cannot wait to get my 33 Nico jersey. Welcome back. The Batum Battalion is ready to be rebirthed. And I think Nico's going to make a huge impact. I just hope he can stay healthy because he played 57 games last year, so he missed 25 games. The previous year, though, he only missed 4. And then 2022, as I mentioned, he missed 23. So if we can get 62-plus games of Nico, I'll be ecstatic. Coming up, though, the third and final and maybe most sneaky edition of them all. Going to be talking about him coming up. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for free? I mean, it doesn't even matter if it's 1 week of games. That's huge. And on FanDuel, you can bet on the games for the upcoming weekend with the NFL, but you can also bet on NBA as well. And opening night betting odds are already out. You've got, I mean, the Clippers aren't playing on opening night, but let's look at what the Clippers odds are against Phoenix. We're actually a -1 for that opening game against the Suns on October 23rd. Honestly, I would take that because I hope that if the Clippers win, I don't know if it'll be by 1 point. I think we'll win by more than 1. And if you're going to be at the game like me, I don't have my ticket yet, but I'll be there. Somehow I'll find a way. We need to be so freaking loud. We need to burst the roof off that place for the grand opening. And it's Phoenix, a team that we despise, a team that I would say is maybe one of the closest to our real rivals. You know, everyone talks about, the Lakers are the rival. I mean, we've never even played them in the playoffs. The Phoenix Suns are the only team in NBA history to have eliminated us from the playoffs 3 times. So screw them. We need to be loud. And where you can do that, of course, is FanDuel. And then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market NFL game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. All right. The final edition, the most slept on one of all, is 7-year NBA man going into his 8th year, Chris Dunn. Now, Chris Dunn, I started following when he was at Providence. He was a beast. He knocked out my USC Trojans in 2016 in the first 4. That broke my heart, man. He was really, really solid. Not necessarily in that game, but you could just tell he was really, really good. And he was drafted in 2016 with the 5th overall pick. So, to a degree, you could say he's been a little bit underwhelming. Now, he gets to the Timberwolves, and he played 78 games that year. So, he was a pretty prevalent part of what they did. He averaged 17 minutes a game, and he averaged just 4 points a game, and he shot just 38%. So, that wasn't very good. They immediately traded him for Jimmy Butler. So, he went to the Chicago Bulls, spent a couple years there, and in 2018, he started 43 out of 52 games, averaged 13 points, and was 23rd in most improved player voting. He averaged 13, 4, and 6. Now, granted, the Chicago Bulls were really, really bad that year. 27 wins, Fred Hoiberg ball. So it was on a bad team, but he showed some growth. Following season, 46 games played, started 44 of them. I don't know why he played so little. Did he get injured or something? I'd have to look back. He probably did. 11 points a game, 6 assists. So he's showing, I mean, based on those stats, like I know assists aren't necessarily an indicator solely of how good of a passer you are, but if you average 5+ assists in the NBA, you probably are a decent passer. Because Chris Dunn's not the type of player that gets a lot of attention offensively as a scorer, so he's getting those assists by passing. And plus, he was on a bad team, so it's not like he has great players around him. 2019, the Bulls were also very, very bad. That was like when Zach LaVine, I don't know if that was the season that Zach LaVine got hurt. There were 22 wins that year. Yeah, Zach LaVine played 63 games. They had Chris Dunn. Oh, there's a lot of players, 22 players on the roster. Anytime you see a roster with like 18+ players or 20+, that means they had a bad season and a bunch of guys have been hurt. They're waiving guys and bringing guys in and all that. So 3 years with the Bulls, all on, a rough patch of Chicago Bulls history, you can say. And then he went to the Atlanta Hawks for 4 games. So it looked like he was like not even going to even be in the league anymore after that. Portland brings him in 2022. He only plays 14 games there. So again, looks like he still might be out of the league. Then Utah picked him up in the second half of the 2023 season, and he averaged 13, 5, and 6. So even though Utah was kind of in tank mode, they got him, and he showed people, hey, there's still an NBA player here. And last year, he was a consistent part of their rotation, started 32 games, but played 66 out of the 82 games. So he appeared in the majority of games, and he averaged 19 minutes a game, averaged 5 points, 3 boards, and 4 assists. So 5, 3, and 4 off the bench, and he also shot 47% from the field, and get this, 37% from 3. So if Chris Dunn can knock down his open threes, he'll be getting a lot of minutes. Because you can, as I said, you can never get enough 3-and-D in this league as a role player these days. Never. And Chris Dunn's on-ball defense I didn't watch many Jazz games last year, I'll have to admit. But from everybody that I heard that looked at him, his on-ball defense was very good. And if we can get an elite on-ball defender to add to all the ones I've already mentioned, there's no reason why we can't be a top 5 defense. For sure top 10, but the prospect of having that kind of defense excites me so much because as everybody knows, I'm a defense first guy. My first practices, any team I coach, defense first. Always. So, yeah, I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about him. I think he is our best bet coming off the bench to get guaranteed minutes because Bones Highland I don't know if he's even going to be on the roster moving forward with the addition of Kevin Porter. And then the Kevin Porter situation, I'm not sure how we're going to use him. It feels a little redundant giving Norman Powell and then Chris Dunn. But, we can play all 3 of them at once. But Nico will always be getting minutes off the bench. And we'll run a lot of small ball lineups for sure. And maybe another episode could be how many small ball lineups can we do. But Mo Bamba I think that basically Ty Lue has learned we need a backup center in the regular season, so Mo Bamba will be getting his minutes. So Mo Bamba, Nico Batum, and Norman Powell, you can just pencil them in. They're going to be getting minutes. And then Amir Coffey, like is Kevin Porter ahead of Amir Coffey in the pecking order? Because, yeah, he's a more talented player, but Amir Coffey is, 3-and-D kind of deal. So, I don't know. We'll see. All I know is that Chris Dunn is the most underrated addition we got. But overall, so I'll categorize it this way. Chris Dunn, most underrated addition. Derek Jones, the best addition. Nico Batum, the one I'm looking forward to the most. So, that's how I'd put it. Those are our new additions. Let me know what you think. Which edition are you most excited for? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, you can always listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more sports content. To check out what I've been doing on this trip. It's been electric, insane crowds, the games I've been to. And, yeah, I guess that's it. Locked on Clippers to 6K, please. Let's do it. We're almost there. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.